In last video, we discussed about the transit of retrograde Jupiter. In this video, we are going to talk about the transit of Venus retrograde. So keep watching. Namaste and welcome to Pramanik Astrology channel. I am your host Prasad Mahazani. Help you raise your vibrations and become your true self with the help of Vedic astrology. And if you are new to my channel, please consider subscribing. You'll be getting Vedic astrological videos just like this one. So Venus retrograde. We have already made a video on Venus retrograde, but that is about the Venus retrograde in your birth chart. Right now, Venus is going to get retrograde on the May 13th. We have already, Jupiter is going to get retrograde on 15th, and on the same week we have Saturn retrograde as well. We have made a separate videos on Jupiter retrograde and Saturn retrograde. So this is Venus retrograde. Okay, what is the Venus retrograde signifies? The most important thing in a Venus retrogression is the sign. We'll talk about that later. First, few important dates for the Venus retrograde. Venus is getting retrograde on the 13th of May 2020, and it will be retrograde till 25th of June. Okay, and it will be retrograde in the nakshatra of Mrigashira in the sign of Taurus, and will be retrograde till the Rohini nakshatra first pada. Okay, and then after 25th it is going to, after 25th June, it is going to be into the direct motion. But what is the impact of this transit on your chart? We all have Venus in our birth chart, but when transiting Venus goes retrograde, it impacts everybody. It impacts us in a way of our expression, in the finances, beauty, love, marriages. All the significations of Venus comes under the scanner now. Now Venus is getting retrograde. Here is an interesting thing about Venus retrograde. Venus gets retrograde from the 8th sign from its previous retrogression. What do I mean by that? Right now, Venus is getting retrograde into the sign of Taurus. Next time, it will get retrograde into the sign of Sagittarius, maybe 1.5 years from now. Okay, so you can go and check the previous retrograde Venus and their signs. Very few times it goes 9th and 7th, and it has its own significance, but we'll talk about it some other day. 80% of the time or 75% of the time it goes retrograde from the 8th sign from the previous one. Venus retrograde. What happens when a Venus planet goes retrograde into the sign of Taurus? Venus is a planet of relationship. Taurus is the sign of relationship and resources. And now when it goes retrograde, it shows that we all have difficulty in expressing ourselves. We will experience difficulty in expressing love to others. We'll feel the difficulty in expressing our inner feelings, compassion towards the other person. When a Venus goes retrograde, it forces us to examine our relationship, our love relationship, or the person which are close to us, all the relationships in general. It will force us to look for it and examine that relationship. Are you really happy with that relationship? Are you really satisfied with that relationship? What you're getting in, what you're putting in, and what you're getting out of it? You will have to examine this during these 44 days. Venus, when goes retrograde in transit, will make you think about it. Apart from the relationship, it also impacts the finances. Second sign is the sign of finances, but more than that, the retrogression of the Venus makes you prioritize your finance. Venus in the sign of Taurus retrograde will make you prioritize your finances, will bring order into your finances. it will not allow you to spend unnecessarily. You will ask yourself questions whether this is really necessary. Do I really need this in this time? Do I have the finances? Do I have the provision for this? Random expense on a luxury item, unplanned. You will ask yourself questions, and then it will help you to bring in the order, to reduce the expenses, and you will get through this time. This is a small retrogression. It is only about 44 days, so we are not going to cover it for all the ascendants and all the moon signs. But yes, when a Venus goes retrograde, it internalizes all the energies. And any planet when goes retrograde, it allows us to work on its signification. Saturn when goes retrograde will make you think about your work, the style of your work, the approach of your work, and will help you to make changes if necessary. Similarly, now Venus when goes retrograde will examine all the significations of the Venus. We talked about the relationship, we talked about the finances, we talked about the love, beauty, compassion. During this transit of retrograde Venus, if you have any issues with respect to relationship, those will surface out. You may not even realize that you have issues in your relationship, otherwise they will surface out. You will start thinking about your partner, you will start thinking about the person you're living with, and you will start examining the relationship based on, and you start evaluating the relationship based on what you have got out of it, what you have received emotionally. Venus is also the karaka of the art, creative work, and all that is artistic. So when Venus goes retrograde, it will make you work on your artistic talents, creative projects. Not a great time to start anything new, but it will again will examine that project, and it will give you a unique perspective about it which you have never thought of, because now Venus is internalizing all the energies and helping you to get a bigger and better perspective. The key to work in this time when Venus is retrograde is learn to express yourself. Venus is here to teach you how to express yourself. Once you express yourself well, that is the key to success for relationship, finances, everything, because now you are aware of your needs more than ever. Now you know what you want. Now you know what your partner wants. Now you are aware of your wants. You can evaluate them, you can think about them, what exactly you want from that relationship, what you are able to give into that relationship, and that takes that relationship to the next level. It brings in the happiness, it brings in the togetherness, it brings in the joy into that relationship. Once we are in a loop, and when we are not looking at the relationship, we get complacent, we take it for granted, and we don't care for the other person. And that's when things start getting retrograde Venus will make you think about the relationship as a whole with a new perspective. What do I mean by that? You are being complacent and not giving enough attention to your partner. You are taking them for granted. Now Venus retrograde comes in. Now it's time to rethink, reconsider the wants, reconsider the relationships. And when I say reconsider, it literally means to look at the relationship from a different perspective. Now you have moved on. You have been into a relationship for a while, or you are looking to get out of a relationship, and now you are reconsidering that relationship. And when you reevaluate that relationship, this is the best time to reevaluate the relationship, because this Venus retrograde will make you think differently about your relationship. And when I say differently, it means it will make you think like you have never thought about your relationships. In a way, you have never thought about your relationship, and it can bring in that positive change you are looking for. When Venus goes retrograde, something will surface out. Something which was hidden up till now will come out, which was you were also unaware about your values or about your feelings or about your way of looking at certain things with respect to relationship. Now now Venus is bringing them out. When Venus gets retrograde, we encounter the hidden side of our values, to the hidden side of our desires, which we were not aware of. Now Saturn is becoming retrograde, is becoming powerful, is internalizing, is making you think about it, and is giving you the different perspective altogether and improving that relationship. Okay, so yes, this is the best time. Make most out of it to improve your relationship, express yourself, bring that love and joy into the relationship, bring out the shadow side of your relationship. Everybody has that shadow side. This Venus retrograde makes you think about that, makes you work on that shadow side in a relationship, and that ultimately improves your relationship. And during this transit, the Jupiter is also aspecting this Venus retrograde. The benefic is aspecting this benefic, and both are retrograde. So in a way, this Venus is getting the blessings of Jupiter during this transit. Okay, so it is going to perform even better for your highest good and greatest growth. You won't get the chance to re-examine all these, like a relationship, finances, creativity, luxuries, expenses, all these, until next 1.5 years when Venus goes retrograde, and that too it will be into some other sign. Okay, so yes, this was Venus retrograde, as much as I could hold, grasp and share with you guys. If you want to know more about Vedic astrology, these 2 videos on your screen will help you to go deep into Vedic astrology, and once you watch them, you will be on your way to greatness. Sending you tons of positive energy, sending you high vibrations. See you in the next videos. Love and peace.